Okay, good evening, everyone. We call to order the meeting of the Norwalk WPCA for Monday, March 18th, 2024. It's 5:31 and a quorum is present. Item number 2. Are there any members of the public who wish to be heard on anything on the agenda or anything else related to the WPCA?
There are not.
There are not. We won't give it a full meeting, a full minute. It's not a public hearing, just a meeting. Moving on to number 3, is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the WPCA meeting held on February 20th, 2024?
So moved.
Mr. Igneri gets it. Any comments, questions, corrections? Edits, revisions? I didn't see any typos. I make a sport out of that and I was unsuccessful. Anybody else? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And I will also find Bovee, Smith, and Igneri. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 4, it's 5:32. Authorize the chair or vice chair of the WPCA to sign the Verily Wastewater Surveillance Testing Services Material Transfer Agreement as part of the CDC NWSS Wastewater Monitoring Program as the signatory authority to allow Veolia staff to collect and ship samples, copy, and close. Is there a motion for that? By Mrs. Smith. Okay, would staff like to present this, explain it?
Sure. The Norwalk Health Department reached out to the WPCA regarding a new CDC testing program for sampling of the wastewater for some additional strains of COVID and flu, it looks like. So in order to participate in the program, we have to sign a materials transfer agreement. So that's actually, it's going to be a virtual e-signature.
Yep.
So
You guys tracked the COVID and the wastewater in the past, and
yes,
they shared the results with you, right?
yep. We
Okay,
already,
and
this will be in addition to the sampling that we already do. We spoke to Matt and Veolia staff, and they're going to take the samples and ship them to the lab.
no privacy concerns, no issues. They're not charging us. It's just a.
Exactly.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions or comments? No. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Manella, Ostafine, Bovee, Smith, Igneri. Another passes unanimously. Item number 5, it's 5:33. Authorize the chair or vice chair of the Water Pollution Control Authority to execute an amendment to the March 22nd, 2021 agreement with Woodward and Kern in the amount of $300,000 to extend the terms of the agreement by 3 years to provide additional on-call professional engineering services. Is there a motion? By Mr. Bovee. Any presentation by staff?
So Woodward and Kern has been our consultant for about 3 years now, almost. And they update the financial model annually for the WPCA team. And they've done storm and sanitary work for us. And we'd like to add them for another 3 years in the amount of $300,000 to perform similar tasks.
Any questions of staff on this proposed motion? Ms. Smith, please proceed.
Yeah, are there any specific projects that you might use them for? Just general, as is stated in the memo.
Definitely the financial model updates as we move forward with the facility and collection system master plan. We'd like to get them engaged with catch basin disconnect program. So that's what we see at the moment. It could change. That's why we want to have a little bit more open than in the past.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody else? Questions, comments, concerns?
Do they have money left over in their current contract? I guess.
It's almost gone. It's minimal amount.
So
One
it's
of
like,
the reasons why we ended up using is that as part of the Dreamy Hollow project that we did, that they were the consultant on the city side for the drainage project. we ended up expanding the scope for the sewer expansion. They are using that money from WPC.
10-4, so it's like 100 grand a year, more or less.
Correct.
Anybody else? All in favor? Aye. We're now also find Bovee, Smith, Igneri. Another passes unanimously. We'll go into contract operations report, item number 6 at 5:36 p.m.
Good evening, everyone. So
Good night.
the month of February was, actually, there's no rain events in the month of February, which is good. And also it's quite a quiet month and a short month, so we'll get right into it. The Veolia Collections System team completed 1.12 miles of TV inspection. The cleaning, they cleaned 2.7 miles of sewers, inspected 74 manholes, and they did 1.7 miles of SL rat. Our IPP inspection program did 42 restaurant or grease trap inspections in the month of February. The instrumentation project, I left it brief there because they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, so I just want to share my screen quick. And I'll talk about this for real quick. Share screen. Let's make sure I do this right. Here we go. So the instrumentation project was something in the original contract with us and you guys back in 2020. And when we originally went to execute this project, you'll notice the grading in the ground. Well, that's where all the conduit was previously. And it was filled with water, rainwater, what have you. So we figured, and the conduit was, some of it was submerged underwater. So we didn't want to spend all this money on instruments and put it in there. And we worked with Ralph and the WPCA to install, I call them trestles. I don't know the exact term, these large, there's 3 of them throughout over the aeration basins. And what they do is they raise all the conduit up in the air. So that did push back. That's why 4 years into our contract, we're finally getting the instrumentation in, because this was a capital improvement project in order for us to do this. And what this instrumentation does is just adds more controls to the, let's get right into the process, and it's incorporated into SCADA. So what you see here is an aeration basin where we have no oxygen, but we can monitor the oxygen in it 24/7, and it'll tell us that we're denitrifying properly and that the process is happy. And that's so this instrumentation is really good for that. Another piece of instrumentation we added ammonia and nitrate probes. And what these probes will tell us again is that, you know, we're adding adequate air, our adjustments and process is correct. And we can see this live on a computer screen and even on our mobile SCADA. So I could see it at home in Brookfield. Ross could see it at home in Stanford. Ralph could see it at home where he is. And, you know, we can, if there's any upsets or whatever, we can monitor it live. So it's a big, important improvement. So that's what the aeration basin instrumentation upgrade is. This cost was bore by us, and we're working, you know, with the city quite a bit to make improvements to SCADA and the instrumentations out there. And I feel Norwalk is really leading the charge in technology when it comes to overall operations. That said, I will not stop sharing my screen. Does anyone have any questions on the aeration instrumentation process? Yes, Darren.
I do. That instrument looks really cool. It also looks like it's sitting out where it could get snowed on and rained on. It's just
100%
exposed like that.
weatherproof. Yep, it's 100%
100% weatherproof.
Yep.
Even those connectors on the bottom,
Yes, they're all rubber insulated.
it's amazing. Thank you.
Yep. It's designed specifically to be weathered. Yeah, on the weather. Any other
Oh.
questions? Okay, I will stop sharing. And the next is Colonial Village, the Norwalk Housing Authority and Colonial Village, an easement lining project. If you don't know, the Colonial Village is actually, I think they're currently under construction. But the future expansion of the Housing Authority project, we surveyed the sewer over there. We cleaned it, CCTV'd it, inspected it, and we found quite a bit of problems. So Ralph and his team and us thought it was best to line the easement areas where there was some cracks and things of that nature. None of it had to be excavated or anything. It was well within a lining project could handle it. So that actually began in late February, and Green Mountain is tying up some loose ends as we speak. And we expect them to be finished with the project and out of there by next week. And that once they expand that sewer, that'll allow those sewer assets to last another 50 years without any issues. And then that's, and then one more update on the bar screen update you'll see on your agenda, the last under our item. So bar screens are the very first piece of mechanical equipment in our plant. We have 3 of them. They're 35 feet tall. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture for it. I apologize. But what they do is they screen all the heavy rags or screenings, we call them, any paper products, anything that comes in, large rocks. It stops it from coming into the plant, ruining the pumps, any of that stuff. That gets raked up, it gets compressed and washed, and we landfill it. Well, obviously, it's very coarse material. The atmosphere in our Headworks building, which is right behind our offices, is it's raw influent wastewater going in there. So the atmosphere itself is not the best. And when these were installed, for some reason, some of the components were carbon steel. And the large drum that's at top that turns these rakes, what happens is there's a screen that stops everything, and then these rakes constantly turn to rake the debris up into the dumpster. And that the drive mechanism, or drum, if you will, that drives those rakes was made out of carbon steel. And being a wet atmosphere and high moisture in the air and humidity, they just didn't last. They lasted about 12 years. That said, we are replacing them, those drive unit parts. I don't have the cost exactly in front of me, but they're all stainless steel parts, and it should last 2 to 3 times as longer, if not more, than what you got out of it currently. The other 2 units do not seem to have as much deterioration in these drums in this one. So this is the first one that we're doing, and it should be back online hopefully within the next month or so. But there was quite a lead time for the parts because they have to be manufactured. And that's all I have for an update from February at the plant. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions for Matt? Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Chris.
Yep.
Mr. Manal?
Sorry, no, only one question. On the influent flow. If we're going to talk about it, I'm not sure, but what's
Okay.
with the tick up? Like
Yeah, sure.
the last 3 or 4 months, that line has been holding steady at like 12 MGDs, and now it's like.
Correct. So the month of December, we had 4 storms and heavy rain. Typically, in the last many years we've been here, the average flow is, like you said, around 12. Well, the average flow for that 1 month was 18 million gallons per day. That's Ralph, I'm not sure if you could have seen it higher, but that's the highest we've ever seen by a long shot as an average. And we can attribute that to the heavy rains, the wet grounds, the flow for day. Usually in the summer, you get a heavy rain event, and if there's not a lot of rain, the flow goes right back down within a day or 2 back to normal. In December, I think we were, for 10, 15 days, we were above 20 million gallons a day just because of back-to-back rainstorms. And then again, in February is 13.2, but we had 2 large storms in January. Same issue. It stayed elevated for many days. And I believe we were in the 14 area or 15 area in January, maybe even 16. I don't have it off the top of my head, but it was elevated in January as well. But it's starting to come back down. However, March, again, we had 2 storms in March already. So we're going to have elevated flows again. And that is due to the I&I. That is not because of more sewage. It's because of the rain events.
That's what I was going to ask. So with this, you expect, because that's how we went to the deep, right, with all of our permits.
Correct.
So you'd expect with the decrease in the I&I, that line will start to flatten out again.
Correct. I'd say
10-4.
all of that it's directly related to the rain and the weather.
Yeah, Matt is correct. The month of December and January was lots of rain that fell on Norwalk, and the groundwater table was saturated and finding its way into the system. We have seen it historically before Veolia has come on board. February was definitely a drier month. And, if we continue to have more normal rain coming down, the groundwater table will recede a bit and we'll see our flows start to come back. The chart is 180-day rolling average, that green line for the linear flow going through the treatment plant.
So thank you. Yeah, I get it. I'm all set.
Excellent.
Anybody else?
Matt, do you want to introduce Dave Connors? I see him on the call.
Dave. There you are. Dave Connors. Are you there? So David Connors is our new area vice president. He
Can you hear me?
yeah, hey Dave, how are you?
Good.
Just wanna
Hi, everybody. Sorry. Sorry I couldn't be on camera. I'm actually in a car. So just wanted to introduce myself. My name, as Matt said, is Dave Connors. I'm the new regional vice president for Veolia for the area. Live in Newtown, Connecticut. I've been in the water wastewater industry for about 25 years on the operations side as well as the engineering side as well. I am a professional engineer and happy to be working with everybody here and doing part of the good work that everybody's doing in Norwalk.
thanks, Dave.
Thanks. How about Tom Ellis?
No,
Is Tom Ellis part of your team?
no, he's not. Sorry. I think-
Nope.
It's our budget.
He's our budget
Yeah.
director.
Yeah, I'm the finance guy.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Ellis.
Likewise.
I'm glad to know that you're not a member, otherwise I would have been missing your vote all that time.
No. Our CFO departed in December, so the thought
You're the new
was
Hank.
probably good to have some sort of finance representation when we can.
So you're the new Hank.
Not quite. Although we are actively recruiting a new Henry.
Thanks, Tom, for participating tonight.
Well, I've got a BET meeting at 6:30, so I'll stay as long as I can.
We're gonna BET you out of here long before then.
Well, let's hope so. Thank you.
Okay.
Speaking of finance, the next item, 7A reports, is the monthly munis report for everybody. If anybody has any questions? The next item, 7B, there's a copy of a letter that the WPCA team submitted to Connecticut Deep. This was following a productive February 20th meeting to discuss the collection system master plan and the facility plan update with the state, and just had a very good productive meeting, again, direction on Norwalk, where the state is headed, and our 5 and 10 year where we're headed with projects. So with that discussion, we talked about the recently drafted Clean Water Fund priority list for fiscal year 24-25 that the state issued. Norwalk has multiple projects on the list, but we had a couple projects that didn't rank as high as we thought, and they are CSO, which is combined sewer overflow related projects. So after discussing with the state, they said, please send us a comment letter and include a little history of the projects and a little bit more of an understanding that these are combined sewer overflow related projects, and we may be able to get some additional priority points and potential funding for those projects. So that's what the letter, including the board package, is. And then if no questions, we'll go to item C, discussion on WPC engineering projects. The catch basin disconnect program, the WPCA staff submitted all its comments on the draft basis of design report by Brown and Caldwell. So they're incorporating our comments into the plan, and we'll soon be finalizing it. The next item is Hubble's Lane Relief Sewer. We're over 60% heading to 90% in design. And this is to install a new sanitary sewer down, or relief sewer down Hubble's Lane. And then we're gonna upgrade some existing sanitary sewer infrastructure on Smith Street. We're going to, with the new, excuse me, with the new sanitary sewer on Hubble's Lane, we are going to go through the sanitary sewer extension process with the city. Once we have the 90% drawings in the next month, we'll engage DPW and submit the plans, and then we'll come back to WPCA to have a public hearing. Sorry. The Beacon Street Sanitary Sewer Project. When we get these heavy wet weather events that we've experienced in December and January, there is by Beacon and Willow Street, there is a low spot where we have the potential of having sanitary sewer overflow and bubble out of a manhole or two. So we've recently engaged Brennan Colwell to investigate this. We had a surveyor come last week or week before, within the last 2 weeks, to survey from Sunset and Beacon all the way up Beacon to Willow. We have the survey data. That information is going to be relayed to Brennan Colwell, and Brennan Colwell is going to come up with some design alternatives that the WPCA team can go into construction to help relieve the sewer from overflowing during wet weather. And lastly, the Keeler Brook Pump Station Replacement Project. The team has submitted a package to Eversource for review. This is all as part of the new pump station project and request for a new easement for that new station. Any questions on any of these items? Okay, nine.
Yep, I have some photos of our construction projects.
Click. Yep. Actors.
So we have the sanitary sewer rehab project, which is CAPP lining work. So that project began on Tuesday of last week. We have the contractor in situ form who's on site in the roadway in South Norwalk area. We have an inspector from Broughton Colville is on site overseeing the contractor, and a WPCA inspector who's out there also overseeing the work and speaking with the public, making sure there's no safety issues. And the contractor has been completing about 1,000 linear feet of lining work per day, so they're doing really well. And so far, the lining work has been going well. We have some updates on our pump station work at Old Trolleyway Pump Station. We have the new pumps have been installed. We have the new discharge piping shown here, new suction piping, and we have new gate valves and new check valves that have been installed. There's also been some electrical upgrades. We have a new MCC and new VFDs for pump control have been installed at the station. At the Wardward Avenue Pump Station, the work has pretty much been completed there. This was an item that we noticed during construction, that there was chipping on the concrete walls above the wet well area and in some other areas as well. And the contractor was able to complete that repair. So here we see all that concrete along the walls is repaired, and they were able to coat the walls as well. So the station is looking great. And then on the Dreamy Hollow project, the contractor is starting to begin the work on Dry Hill Road to disconnect the two catch basins and also reconnect some catch basins to the drainage system.
No, so we did, we lined one pipe at Junior Hollow.
Yes.
That was actually it was a very good thing because we will have to going to pretty much 3 private properties in order to replace the pipe, but the team was able to figure it out how to line that, and then all the residents were very grateful that we were able to do it. So that was very successful.
Yeah, that was a 24-inch storm line.
Yeah, and they did it in just one day. We could save all the trees. We didn't even need to move a fence. Was really a win-win.
And then item E, sewer appeals, we are at 58,601. And then we have the public notice for the fiscal year 24-25 approved sewer rates that has been included. Are there any questions?
No questions? Item F.
Sorry, I already did, I skipped, I guess I went to item F, yep. That approved sewer use notice is included for fiscal year 24-25.
Do you have any questions? No?
Nope.
Okay, are there any questions on anything on the agenda at all, or anything not on the agenda? Okay, it's 5:55. Is there a motion to adjourn? Mr. Igneri gets it. All in favor? Aye. Ossifan, Bovee, Manella, Smith, Igneri, that passes unanimously. Thanks, everybody. We did it in under a half hour. See you on April 15th.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone. Good night.
Have a good
Good
night.
night.
Everyone.
Good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.